Hey, Travel Biz owner Rita here. Before we get started, I am super excited to let you know that my next audio series is now open for pre-registration. It is the Alternative Careers in Travel audio series, and this was a brainchild since last year when I first started putting audio series, these audio summit type programs together. Because I know there's so many of you that, one, love what you're doing, but also want to be doing something somewhat-ish on the side or in addition to what you're currently doing within the travel industry. So I just thought this was going to be a really great idea. It's kind of like a pseudo career fair where you can learn about different things that you can do to monetize your business. Or if you're interested in swapping careers, this might be also a really great one for you to figure out what career might be right for you. Now, I don't have all the careers. Like, there are so many people more that I wanted to interview, but I am so ecstatic with the base that I have. So we're going to be learning about travel blogging, travel writing, being a DMC, being a podcaster, being a virtual assistant, being a travel advisor, being a business development manager, and even a travel coach. So go ahead, head over to the link in the show description. Make sure to save your spot because pre-registration is free, but when we go live on August 7th, the registration price does bump up to $9, which is still pretty easy peasy, even if you forget. But don't wait because you want to make sure you secure your spot. So let's get this show started now. Hey, Travel Biz owner, welcome to the Summer Selling Series on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Podcast. Let's gear up for a summer of sales and learn from top industry experts how to demystify some of your favorite or most intriguing destinations or products. Download the free worksheet in the show description to start taking notes, and let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Summer Selling Series. I'm your host, Rita M. Perez, and I have, oh goodness, now I'm going to forget your title. It is the ASTA River Cruise Travel Advisor of the Year, but we have her on. She'll clarify that. Her name is Diane Frisch. She's based out of Texas. She's a travel advisor who has made her focus, really, river cruises is like one of the top focuses of her travel business. So much so that she was recognized at this year's River Cruise Expo by ASTA. So welcome, Diane.
Thank you for having me, Rita. And you got the title right. And I just got the award, like the plaque thing it came like 2 days ago.
Oh, nice.
So I was excited. It's heavy.
That's awesome. Yay. I'm so glad. Yeah, when I had seen that, I was like, woohoo, another like travel buddy, like doing great things within the industry. So that was super exciting.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was very exciting.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know you, how did you start your travel agency? So how long have you been in the industry, and what did you initially intend to specialize, or who did you intend to be helping when you started the travel agency?
Great question. I started in 2017.
Okay.
I used to be an accountant with a big firm back in the day. And then I was home with my kids, took care of my parents. It was time to go back to work. And I really didn't want to do accounting again. And the travel business looked fun. And I loved the details involved in planning. But I really wanted to have strong training. And I wanted to go in, and I didn't want to do a bad job. So I found a host that was really, really strong in the training sector. And that's how I ended up where I am. And I did all the training I could with them. I did pretty much every class they offered.
Okay.
I did. And then I tried to guess what I thought I was going to sell. So at first I thought certain mass market cruises, because that's what I did with my kids.
Yes.
And I thought destination weddings for a while because I figured out the money making behind that. I realized, all right, well, you have a multiplier effect. It's not just one trip. It's, 10, 20, 30 trips. I thought maybe that. And then I even went and I did destination wedding training. I did a really good FAM on it. I booked one destination wedding, and then I realized I did not want to do destination weddings.
Yeah.
But I think that's good. I think it's part of the process is you have to put yourself out there and try things, and it
Right.
doesn't always work out, but I never looked at that as a failure. I looked at that as, you know what? I tried. I did the best job I could for these people. I didn't do a
Right.
bad job. I did not enjoy it. And I realized, okay, this is not my thing. But
Right.
that's okay, because realizing that wasn't my thing, and then I realized the mass market cruises were probably not my thing either. Then I started to segue in toward Europe.
Okay.
And that's like, it was a process, and I did all kinds of trainings for all kinds of companies because I didn't know what was going to stick and what was going to feel right. Then
Mm-hmm.
I started trying FAMs, and that helped.
Okay.
And I really took a hard look at my financials and what I was
Yes.
making. And that was my next decision point, because especially coming out of COVID, I ran some reports and I looked at my income and my sales by vendor.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw I'd see pages of certain kinds of bookings that I didn't enjoy, that were hard for me, that weren't making a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was easy, right?
Right.
It's no brainer. Let's do less of those.
Right.
And then I saw, well, among other things, some of the river cruises. And I didn't sell a ton at all. I might have sold one or two river cruises,
Okay.
but I saw the income potential there and how much work it was for me. And
Mm-hmm.
it wasn't that much work. I knew I'd been on a FAM. That was one of my very first FAMs,
Mm-hmm.
was with, should I say, it was with a very good river cruise company that's very
Yes.
nice to travel agencies.
Yes.
And we'll leave it at that. But I took advantage of that opportunity, and I realized I really liked river cruising.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized, when I looked at my financials, how profitable they were.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that they're not that hard to sell. And the more you learn, the better it is, right?
Okay.
The easier it is.
Yes. Yeah, because I feel like there's a lot that we can like dive in here because I love that you pointed out, because I was going to bring this up because I know had a conversation before about how you went into the data. So like the reports that your host has to
Mhm.
like really break down where the income is coming from and then where like, I guess percentage wise, where a majority of your income was, or kind of like you were balancing out where income was coming from and what the time balance was of making that income too. Would you say that's correct?
Exactly. Revenue per hour. So if I book a whole bunch of, they might be individually a high percentage. So for
Uh-huh.
me to book a little trip to, I don't know, somewhere warm that I don't know much about and I have to research,
Right.
and maybe I make a few $100s. It
Mm-hmm.
might be a high percentage of that booking. And if I had some volume, it would make total sense, but I don't have the volume there.
Right.
So that's a whole lot of work for me to make as a percentage of my whole income, 10% of my income, to spend that
Okay.
much work. Whereas a higher percentage of my income was coming from less work things.
Mm-hmm.
So I realized, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But breaking down my numbers by vendor for sales and income made a lot of difference. And you're exactly right. It's the number of hours spent to earn that money.
Yes. So what about it aside from like this part too? What about river cruising do you find easier? Like what makes it easy to you?
Selling river cruises.
Yep.
So I guess I've studied it enough and I've done volume enough.
Okay.
So I understand it. And I think it has a lot of value to clients once they understand the options out there. Once they understand there's more than just one river cruise to book.
Uh-huh.
And I can articulate that, and I can help them choose between those. The more I've studied, that's got a lot
Yes.
of value, right?
Yes.
So it's
And would you
pretty.
say that you had that? Because I know you said the River Cruise Expo was a big game changer. So would you say that you had that exposure to multiple river cruise lines before the expo?
So I tried,
Uh-huh.
and I did the trainings, and I did the one FAM, and they all have great online training, and that's good. And
Hmm.
I'm a studious bookie kind of person, so I tried. But you can't speak the same way from watching webinars and
Right.
from doing online quizzes. You just can't. So I
Right.
went Do you want me to talk about the expo, what I did?
Yeah, please. Yes, for those of people who might be contemplating it, I know next year's already sold out, it's waitlisted, but I think in terms of like being able to sell more, how has it impacted your like what is the experience, but and then how has it impacted your sales?
So I had sold one or two river cruises. I saw that it was going to be good money for me. I saw that the amount of hours to book a river cruise weren't that many to keep it
Hmm.
going and all that. I knew that. I heard about the River Cruise Expo, the first one in 2022, and
Okay.
I thought it was genius. I thought
Yes.
having all those ships there at the same time, and it was 12 ships this year. I don't know what it was that year. I'm going to guess
Hmm.
10. I don't know.
Okay.
But I knew, okay, I'm going to be able to tour 9, 10 different cruise lines ships, and I can definitely speak about them more. We had our meals on board, so I could speak to the food. They have presidents of companies there, and they still do,
Hmm.
and senior executive management, plus the sales staff and the crew on board. So you're getting all that feeling for the river cruise. I know it's not the same as cruising, but like
Right.
who has time to go take 12 river cruises to learn 12 cruise lines, right?
Oh, yes. And if you're especially starting out, that's a lot of income that you need to be generating to pay for those cruises.
Right. And this conference was a little expensive, and it's more expensive now, but let's say it was $1,000 then, and then I had to pay for my hotel. Now you pay to
Right.
stay on a ship, but same difference. That's over $1,000. You have to fly to Europe, take time away from your family, get in a day early, all
Right.
this stuff. It's not nothing. But if
Right.
you look at the commission you make on even selling one river cruise, it's well over $1,000, almost always.
Oh, yeah.
So I calculated on that one, I think I needed to sell two river cruises to break even. So I'm like, okay.
I love that you like put it in that perspective too.
So, and I was like, okay, that's not that bad. I'm like, I could sell two river cruises, I think. But I
Uh-huh.
went there and I just went in to learn as much as I possibly could. So when people called me, I could make them feel comfortable. I could explain the value proposition for each cruise line and what's
Hmm.
different about them, what makes them special,
Hmm.
the rivers, all of that. I went in to learn as much as possible, and I milked the heck out of it on social media
Hmm.
with pictures and pictures and more pictures of the
Yes.
ships of it was Budapest then, beautiful Budapest, and me in the ships and me at the conference, because
Yeah.
that establishes me as, the one who knows about river cruising.
Hmm.
So I knew I wanted to at least sell two, but I worked really, really hard. I made my own marketing plan, and I hit very, very hard on river cruising, and that I knew river cruising. And I
Okay.
had the pictures of me with the lanyard. I still have the lanyard hanging on my wall. It's all of that. And well, it shows you, right? Because people, they might know they want to go on a river cruise, or they might know they want to go to Budapest, but
Hmm.
they might not know why they need me or
Right.
you or any of us, right?
Right.
That's what I was hitting on. So I was really going to hit on, okay, yes, you want river cruising. Yes, it's fun. And I could really speak to that because I enjoy it. That
Hmm.
helps.
Right.
And then I like to, well, I think I told you this. I like to just give people enough that they're a little confused. So,
I love
well,
that.
well, right, because if I give them all of it, then maybe they can just go book themselves. But if I
Right.
tell them, okay, did you know there are, there's Amadeus, Avalon, Ama Waterway, and you just start spouting off these things they didn't know.
Right.
Then they're like, wow, I didn't know all that exists. Now I'm really confused. So then they need me.
Yes. Yeah. I remember you had said that you had made a post on social media with all the logos of the suppliers.
Yes.
And some people were commenting on that post saying, like, there's that many river cruise brands over there.
Yeah, they did not know. And that was one of the posts that got a lot of action. That, and yeah, seeing me in the destination, that helped a lot. But that conference, I went in, I got as much exposure as I could, decided I had to sell two, but I also went in. Some people say I fell into selling river cruises after that, but I was very calculated. I was
Mm-hmm.
on social media, I want to say every single day on, okay, maybe 360 out of 365 days that year
Uh-huh. Yeah.
posting, and well over half were river cruising. And then when I wasn't river cruising, it was Europe. Once in a while, something else. But yeah, and I really wanted to hit that I was the river cruise person.
Yes, no, I love so for advisors who are kind of thinking like, okay, I'm interested, I've been thinking about going and like selling river cruises, but they're not sure or they can't like make the investment yet to go overseas and like do the River Cruise Expo. Can we give them like just a 411 versus the least inclusive river cruise lines and the most inclusive? Because like my thought is least inclusive is probably like a Viking, Amadeus. In the middle is where I might stick like Ama Waterways and Avalon, and more on the most inclusive is Scenic, Tauk, and I feel like there's another one, but I'm forgetting.
Uniworld, Uniworld.
Uniworld. Mm-hmm.
So yes, I would say Viking, yeah, is less inclusive, but Amadeus, you can include the, you could, what's nice, Amadeus is a little more upscale experience with food and wine. The
Okay.
ship is very nice. And you can have the excursions included or not, but the price will reflect that. So it's excellent for your clients who maybe they've done a river cruise before, maybe they don't want to do all the excursions because,
Hmm.
when you buy the package with all the excursions included, they're not really free. PS.
Right.
They say they're free, but they're not. You're paying for them.
Right.
So if you don't care about that, or you've gone those places and you want to explore on your own, or maybe you're high end and you want private excursions along the way,
Hmm.
then maybe you want an Amadeus, or maybe you're doing. I have people who do genealogy, like their families from all
Yes.
over Austria,
Yeah.
so they want to go do those excursions. They don't care about the included excursions. It's really a good option for them. So to me, they're kind of different than Viking.
Hmm. Okay.
Um, I think Avalon's a little step down from Waterways, probably.
Okay.
They're very, on paper, they're similar. It just feels a little different. And Avalon has more optional add-on excursions.
Okay.
So they do include a fair amount, but they have more that you can pay extra to do.
All right. All
So,
right.
but
Yeah,
there's
because I think AMA is mostly inclusive in terms of the tours, and they might like sprinkle in one that you can pay for here and there.
exactly. It's like if they have the opera in Vienna, you'll pay for
Right.
that. And that's kind of about it. I mean, it's going to be something really unusual like that
Hmm.
with a ticket holder thing.
Yep.
So then you have but Avalon's lovely. Their ships are lovely. Uniworld is definitely, oh, and there's Riverside now too.
Yeah. How could I forget Riverside with
So
the
you have,
butler service?
yes, so Riverside, it was interesting in Amsterdam at the expo because Riverside has Crystal's old ships,
Yes.
which are very nice. And Uniworld was leasing a Crystal ship.
Hmm.
So they were virtually the exact same ship, but it feels different on Uniworld's just been around longer, so it's just a smoother operation. And Uniworld goes more places. Riverside, I think they're they were just Rhine and Danube. I think they're starting to do France now, right?
Yes, they have, I think, sailing the Rhone River, the Southern Rhone. Yeah.
In Provence, yeah.
Hmm.
So they're growing. They're up and comers, and there's some good value there, I think, because they know they're growing. So that's something.
Right.
And then there were some other ones there. There's Riviera, and that's another one that's interesting.
I've heard that that one's very like British, like a lot of Brits like to be on Riviera.
Yes, but there's no language barrier.
Yes.
So it's not like you're on a German speaking ship.
Right.
And that was another one. It was, they lease from the same company Talc leases from the ship, and they
Okay.
were parked next to each other. Like they were,
Okay.
you had to walk through, on the river, they stack the ships. So they
Yes.
park isn't the right word. They dock on the shore, one next to the other. So if you're on the farthest one out, you've walked through two other ships to get to yours.
Right.
And the Talc ship was on the far side of the Riverside ship. And I happened to be staying on the Talc ship.
Okay.
And I more than once would get into the Riverside ship and start to walk to my room. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is not my ship. It's like, it's that much alike,
Wow, that's funny.
but it's not as all inclusive. And they are very travel agent friendly. I don't even know if you can book it directly. And the
Okay.
pricing is very good. I believe it's not as all inclusive, but they offer a very nice commission. They are like, it's a good option if you want to get someone river cruising and they want a little more value.
Right.
It's not, it's still a beautiful, it's exactly Tug ship. I mean,
Mhm.
it's a couple of tweaks here and there, but that's it.
Interesting. Yeah, because like when I think about like the more inclusive ships, I think about like the opulence, especially when it comes to Uniworld. Some of the photos that I've seen, I'm like, whoa, like that is like
Yeah.
there's and that's the beauty of like river sailing, but just any sailing is there's something for everyone. So if you have somebody that's a little bit more high end, wants all the things that are included, likes a certain atmosphere, then they might be a Uniworld person. Some people may not want everything that Uniworld includes, so they might be an AMA person.
Yeah. Uniworld will give you, well, it's a beautiful ship. Their scenic kind of compares to them.
Okay.
And you have to be careful with scenic. A lot of agents were confused at the conference because scenic has scenic, which is their high end cruise, and they have
Mhm.
emerald, which is
Yes,
their more
that's right.
budget friendly one. And people
Yes.
could stay on an emerald ship, but they thought they were staying on a scenic ship because it's scenic's emerald.
Interesting.
So it's just something that agents need to be careful of because booking someone on emerald is not booking someone on scenic. Those are two
Right. Right.
very different experiences.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And
So, oh no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's not always clear in the marketing that they're different. So you, as an agent, that's something to watch out for.
Okay, well, that's good to know. I think I remember being on a panel at Clea Cruise 360 over 5 years ago for sure. It was the last time I was at Cruise 360 and listening in on the panel. And that's why I love like when they do panels like this, they like put different cruise lines together that are similar. And you're able to immediately identify like what the differences are
Mhm.
through like what their representatives are saying. So if you've had questions like, well, what's scenic like in comparison to Emerald? So like kudos to the industry for putting out like really great education for people to learn about the differences.
They are. And Cruise 360, that's, I guess, where I first started learning about river cruises. But
Hmm.
if you really want to do river cruises, this expo in Europe is like, do your break even. Calculate how many cruises you have to sell. Average commission on river cruises is easily $1,000. A lot of times,
Right.
I was just on an Alma Waterways webinar, and they said their average commission paid on a cruise to agents is, I want to say, around $1,800. That's
Okay.
their average.
Nice. So there's a lot of leeway
There's
both
revenue there.
ways, but still.
Yeah, so I mean, if you are considering it, do the calculation. I mean, okay, maybe your air is 1,500, so
Mhm.
maybe you need to sell three cruises. Do you think you can sell three cruises? Then
Right.
that's your answer.
Right, because then I want to go into how you do a lot of your sales and you're selling a lot of river cruises through groups. Would you say that most of your sales are through groups or is it like 50-50 groups and individuals?
I would say it's about 50-50. And
Okay.
river cruises, I would say, last I calculated, was just about 50% of all of my sales. So I
Okay.
went from selling one or two to, I don't have the number, but I want to say north of 700,000 last year. In
Wow, is that
so
all right.
that's from, so one or two river cruises is what? That's like $30,000. So
Right.
that's, yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
I usually like to say that minus fees and all that, that if somebody's making like $1 million, that means income coming in is probably $100,000. So I'd like to do like 10%, even
yeah.
though with river cruising it can end a little bit higher just because the commission is a little bit higher.
Yeah, except if Era's in there, that always messes everything up.
Right.
And
Exactly. Yeah.
and turns out a lot of your clients need Era, and there's not, that's not going to be a big driver. So that drives
True.
down your percentage.
True, because you are. So, how are you putting your groups together for those of the travel advisors that are interested in getting groups together? Because I loved your approach, and I don't want to spoil it. The Summer Selling Series is brought to you by the Cruise Content Library. Finding stock vertical videos for your social media marketing is not easy. And I mean that good, juicy, quality content that paints a picture of the amazing cruise experiences and not just another drone footage of another ship. But I'm changing all that and putting my best content of over 1,000 vertical videos available to you inside the Cruise Content Library that's currently available for pre-sale. Finally sell with video storytelling on your social media channels. Visit the link in the show description to save your spot at the best ever pricing. So I'm going to let you just talk like how you first started your first couple of groups to now I think you had to have a group going to Portugal or the Danube with like 30 cabins or 30 passengers.
So I have one going on the Douro this fall with like 15 cabins, and then
Okay.
I have another going on Alma Magna the next year with 45 cabins. Cabins.
Nice.
So it's yeah, that's great. But yeah, no, my first couple of groups, I went with a river cruise company that was very travel agent friendly, and they encourage you to set up groups.
Hmm.
Minimum number is 5 cabins, but you're not penalized if you don't make your number. So I
Okay.
thought, okay, I want to take this cruise and I'm going to try to get people to come with me. And I advertised and I tried to get 5. I was like, okay, 5. That can't be that hard. I'll just get 5.
Right.
And they give you a little bit of the cruise line I worked with gives you a little bit of a discount. There's no financial obligation if you don't make it. So I'm
Uh-huh.
like, okay, that's good. And I marketed and tried. And I think the first one I got one other couple to come with me.
Okay.
So we didn't get the whatever the amenity was. So that would have been a bottle of wine in the room or something. But we
Uh-huh.
still got the same pricing. There was my clients were none the wiser. It was just they were traveling with us.
Right.
And it was great. So I don't know. To me, oh, and P.S. I did this at least 3 other times. Twice it didn't do anything. The
Hmm.
next time I got 2 couples. Now I have the actual 5 on one I just put together myself,
Yay.
which is amazing. But I never look at that as being a failure, though. You have to try. And I learned a lot about putting together a group, even though the first one was just me and this one other couple.
Hmm.
It was okay. And we had a great time, and I got experience on a different river. And, so what? I didn't make the 5. All that
Yeah.
happened is I didn't get the bottle of wine in the rooms and I didn't earn a TC, but I
Hmm.
still got commission on this other person's cabin.
Right.
So, all right. So where's the harm in that? It's so yeah, I really don't look at that bad. It's harder to be your own Pied Piper. It just is.
Yes. Yep.
So the next one I did, that same couple went and one more couple. And then now I just tried, I did a cruise night and I took out 2 groups back to back on the Danube, the
Okay.
lower Danube, then upper Danube, mostly because I want to do lower Danube. I don't actually expect I'm going to get 5 on that. But upper Danube, I know people are going to want to do. That's more marketable.
Okay.
Budapest up to Vilshofen, it's Vienna. That's more of a first time river cruise, I think.
Right.
So I took it out and that one's going pretty well. But again, you just don't know. But then I have been marketing for groups also. And that's where I hit on my big groups. It's not me being Pied Piper because that's not bringing in huge numbers for me, which
Okay.
is fine. It's like I'm fine with that. I still have sold, I don't know, like 15, 10 cabins for my groups that didn't become real groups. It's still,
Mhm.
that's not nothing. That's good for me. And I
That's
travel.
amazing. Yeah.
But my big groups, that came about through social media. And I
Okay.
and I worked really I keep, whenever I hear you fell into that, I'm like, I did not fall in. I worked really hard.
It was a lot of hard work to get, and sometimes it takes time to build it.
And you have to, so it was consistently putting out that message.
Mm-hmm.
Europe River Cruises, me knowing it, me being accessible, me not being scary, me being a hard worker going to training, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying it in those words, saying it in kind of more fun ways and
Right.
pictures. But it's not just what you put out there, right? It's you need the right people looking.
Right.
And that's the other half of the equation, right? And so you have to get people to follow you. And it's not the number of people following you, because
Mm-hmm.
there's all kind of weirdos who try to follow me. I
Right.
mean, right? There's all kinds
Yeah.
of people.
It's like immediate block, delete.
Yeah, you're scaring me. Block,
Yeah.
block, block. So it's not the number, and I would never get hung up on the number, but you want some quality ones, and that's going to depend on who you can connect with.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried a bunch of things. Like I thought fancy wine groups, but I'm not really a fancy wine person.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about this. I mean, I like my glass of wine as much as the next girl, but I'm not like not joining wine clubs and getting
Sommelier,
my,
yeah.
yeah, not all that. But so I thought, well, that might be the right one, but that's not necessarily who I was connecting with.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to think of where people who want to, it's your ideal client is what I'm getting at.
Right.
You got to figure out who your ideal client is. And I started with thinking about a couple of my clients that I already had that I loved working with that brought
Mm-hmm.
in good revenue. And they were my ideal client in my head. So I started out trying to talk to them, and I tried to think, well, all right, where does Nancy like to go?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things does Nancy do? And where do I see the country club ladies, or where? And I thought of some restaurants in town that a lot of these kind of people like to hang out with.
Okay.
I started friending realtors, because they're like me. They're an independent business owner that works
Yes.
hard, that's a woman. So I was like, okay, they might be good. And then I targeted different places where I thought my ideal client might go to.
Mm-hmm.
So, and your ideal client has to be someone you can connect with, I think. For
Right.
me, maybe not for other people, but like if I talk to my ideal client on the phone, they're calling in about a river cruise, we connect. I understand them, they understand me, we talk about our
Right.
kids or whatever. It's very friendly, and they trust me.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to figure out where those kind of people were going to be hanging out on Facebook.
Right.
And really, for me, it's Instagram more than Facebook.
I was just gonna ask, what's your preferred social media platform?
So it's Instagram, but my Instagram carries over automatically to my Facebook business
Right.
page. So sometimes it comes from there. I feel like it's more Instagram
Mm-hmm.
for whatever reason. Maybe Instagram lends itself better to the photos, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Oh
I don't know.
yeah. Yeah, especially like if you're wanting to do social media marketing, photos and videos are really because you've done a couple reels too, right?
Um, yeah, they're not great. But again, like I think it's fine to try stuff, and reels were it just wasn't really natural for me.
Okay.
I had one that went viral. It was or it got a lot of, like, I don't know, 70,000 views or
Oh,
something
wow,
crazy.
that's great.
But it was weird, and it was just, I don't know, I was on the Rhone, and we were going under a bridge, and it was really tight. So I
Uh-huh.
had video of that, and it was just cool to watch. I doubt that sold me any river cruises though, but it was cool.
Mhm. Yeah, because you have said too that because you've put in all the work on social media and like put posts out, put photos out, and really positioned yourself, that while no one has told you directly that they've booked because of a social media post, you feel that they've been doing a lot of lurking for a while and they've seen things and then something inspires them to be like,
Yeah.
hey, Diane.
And I wouldn't say none of them tell me that, because I have strangers, and I'm like, how did you find me? Oh, well, I don't know. I was looking for river cruise, and I see you on social media all the time, and they live in Philadelphia and I'm in Dallas. I'm like, well, that's interesting. And sometimes though, it's someone I know that I'm just friends with on social media because I knew them back when I was in accounting in North Carolina in 1991,
Mm,
and we follow each other. And
okay.
they've been seeing this, and then all of a sudden they're like, I kind of want to go to on a river cruise, and well, you're always talking about it. You must know something about river cruises.
Uh-huh.
And then it connects because I keep hitting on the same message. And
Okay.
it really helps to like you have to beat this thing. So so when the
Yes.
person finally decides they want it,
Yeah.
you can't just put it out like even 10 times. You have to just keep coming back on that same
Going.
message.
Yep. Yeah. And I love how strategic you were also and like who you started to follow. And like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that because you were following them, like you would also interact with their content and
Yes.
like get your name out there too.
For sure. So when I got my wine group, that was it was just this woman who I don't know. She talked about wine, and she lived in Texas in wine country, hill country,
Okay.
and I don't know. She just seemed nice, and she moved to this farm, and she had this cool tractor, and I was like, "Cool tractor," and she'd say, "Cool looking dog," and we would just have silly conversations, and then I went down to hill country, and I'm like, "Where should I go to eat?" And very just innocuous conversations, nothing, just social on
Yes.
social media, being
Yes.
social
I love
and
it.
there and you get that no like trust thing going.
Exactly.
And she when she needed someone to host her group, to take care of booking her group for the river cruise, she already knew me, and she like just from the conversations, but she also knew that I did a lot of river cruises, and she
Hmm.
knew I was at that conference. And I post, oh, if I get certified with Alma Waterways or something, I'll post that certificate on my. I'm not above posting my certificates on my social
Love it.
media.
Yeah.
So she kind of started to think, okay, she's serious. Every award you win, P.S. Any kind of accolade, you should put it up there. Don't feel like it's braggy.
Right.
It's somebody else saying other than you that you're qualified.
Right.
And you could say all you want that you're qualified, but someone else saying it carries a little more weight.
Exactly. Exactly. No, and that's sometimes like we're our own worst cheerleader almost. So like when you have those moments, you need to spread it out because how else are people going to figure out that you've just won this award or you've just done this amazing thing too?
Yeah, I think it really matters, but I can't say enough how you have to be consistent. I hear agents say all the time, "Well, I post on Facebook and I never get anything. I never get bookings from it."
Hmm.
Well, it's that no like trust stuff, and I don't believe that posting, 7.99 for this cruise on this date is the
Boom.
thing that's going to get you right.
Like nail on head. And also, would you say that you were being salesy in all of the posts, or were you more educating slash like showing off what was happening?
Oh, I don't think I'm salesy much at all. Unless
Hmm.
like once in a while, if I'm doing a group, I'm like, guys, this discount's going away June 15th. So
Right,
if you want it, come on.
right.
But yeah, no, I'm very much educational or trying to just something that I find interesting. Like, wow, did you know that you can swim with penguins in Antarctica, or I don't know, whatever.
Uh-huh.
Like I just when I find something interesting, it's more my reaction. So I
Yes.
do a lot of honest reaction,
Love it.
or like going on a uniworld trip. Wow, look at this decoration. This is fancy. Did
Right.
you know they had Veuve Clicquot on talc? This is cool.
Ooh.
it, so I do a lot of that where it's just sort of my own honest reaction to things. Or we went on a Christmas market cruise and I had so much fun, and I got the
Mhm.
cute red coat, and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm in a Hallmark movie with my red coat and the Vienna Christmas market.
Yes.
And that kind of, that really does resonate with people, I think.
Hmm.
But also then showing that I'm at these places doing the work, that matters. And then showing my contacts too.
Uh-huh.
So I do, if I'm like, if you're a Cruise 360 and you're going by the Viking booth, get your picture taken with the Viking people, and it shows,
Right.
Viking people, and it
Right.
shows you did the work.
Yes. No, I love your reference to Hallmark because I remember my first river cruise was a Christmas market cruise on the Danube. And I remember like when it had started snowing because it was later on the cruise, I'm like, my Hallmark movie is complete. I got
It,
snow for Christmas.
it feels like that. And I have gotten sales off of that. And again, they never said to me, oh, it was your one post where you put, you had your red coat on in the Vienna. Now
Right.
I want to go. But I know they followed me and then they came and they wanted it the same week. I was posting every single day about Christmas market cruises. So I
Yeah.
think,
You're like coinky
the
dink.
words might not come out, but
Right. Well, Diane, thank you so much for sharing. I was gonna say a little bit, but it really was a lot of it about river cruising and kind of your experience and how you got from just a couple of people joining you to now you have these multiple dozens of cabins that are going to be joining you in the upcoming future on your river cruise groups.
thank you. Yeah, it's just time and time. Just keep at it, right? And never get
Yeah.
disappointed if something doesn't work out. It's no big deal, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. And if somebody just wanted to take a peek at what you're doing on social media to kind of just see an example of really great how social media is really working, what might be like the social media channel you want to share with the travel advisors?
So I actually have slowed down my marketing. So I would go back a little bit because I had more than I can handle. So I
Okay.
had to slow down my business coming in. I just hired this new employee who's awesome. Then I have another employee who's great, but I had to stop. I had to dial it back. So it's a little slowed down, but I'm at DF Destinations is my handle on
Okay,
Instagram.
perfect. So maybe it's better for people to follow you, maybe like on LinkedIn, like connect with you on LinkedIn if they wanna
Oh, if you
just stay
want to talk to me,
professionally
it's
connected.
yeah, and Instagram is good. I'm on there all the time. I just have dialed back what I do on there.
Because
So
you did so well.
it was going great, but I'm like, I can't keep up. So
That's a great problem to have.
it is. And I will say, if you can get the multiplier effect going with selling similar things,
Hmm.
your every extra sale is not as much work as if you sold something totally different.
Hmm.
If I went to sell like some kind of Caribbean FIT, that would be a lot of work for me because I don't know the Caribbean or South
Right,
Africa or those are not my realm of expertise.
right, right.
So
So stay within what you know really well. All right. Thank you again, Diane, for being here. And thanks, travel advisors, for tuning in. We will see you on the next episode, everyone. Bye.
bye.
Thank you so much for joining me on the summer selling series. If you haven't already, make sure to download that free worksheet for today's episode in the show description. And if you've got a travel biz friend that you think would benefit from this series, would you mind sharing this episode with them? All right, thank you again. I'll see you here next week.